Borrero at City and State TV. And today we're joined for this part of our ongoing series of conversations with newsmakers with Sal Albanese. Sal, welcome back to City and State.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I know under the circumstances, however, I don't think you're too pleased. I mean, I was stunned. I actually read it in the New York Post. Carol Campanelli wrote a piece on Saturday morning. I reached out to you and I said, what is this about? And you started talking. I said, tell us, what happened? How is it that a guy running in 2013 as a Democratic candidate or in the Democratic primary for mayor, you wind up financing your own campaign?
Pretty much.
Right? Tell us what happened, because you wind up getting stuck with a bill.
What happened is that I joined the field of candidates in 2013. I seeded my campaign with some money to hire staff and what have you, and I joined the campaign finance board system, hopefully to get matching money and be a true grassroots candidate. I even went beyond their rules. I didn't accept any money from lobbyists or developers. I didn't want to be indebted to those people. I wanted to make decisions on the merits. So a lot of things happened. First, we were excluded from a number of debates. The Daily News, for whatever reason, didn't include us. And then we were hoping that in August, when people started to pay attention, that we would be able to generate a lot of interest and through the debate process. So come August,
you were excluded from
I was
the
excluded from the debate, which the New York Times editorialized that I should have been included. And that debate, that first debate, put us on the life support.
The media, in fact, we didn't pay enough attention to your candidacy.
Well, 400,000 people viewed that first ABC debate.
Right.
We were excluded. So even my neighbors are asking me if I'm running, right? So I knew right there and then that my campaign was dealt a lethal blow. We were done. I mean, because the only way to generate interest is by having people listen to what you have to say. So we were excluded from that debate. We were excluded from CBS debate, the last debate. And the one debate that we were included in was the New York One debate, where 40,000 people watched it. Half the city doesn't have New York One. They were like, the reporters didn't even pay attention to us in that debate. So it was a debacle. So here I am. I'm stuck, right? We've got 1,000 contributors, which should be enough to get matching money, but the board is so fouled up now that that's not enough. You got to reach a two-tiered benchmark, which I think is unfair. But neither here nor here I am. I'm in August. We're not moving in the polls because nobody even thinks we're running, and I've got an infrastructure in place. I've got staff, I've got a campaign headquarters, I've got telephones, computers, vendors I have to pay, and I believe in meeting my obligations. So I said to my guys, look, my staff, I'm going to loan the campaign money and make sure everybody gets paid. And that's what I did. I lent the campaign money, and at the end of the day, we lost the election, as you know. And now they did an audit, and they're saying that I'm going to be fined $10,000 for going over the limit, which makes no sense whatsoever. I never got a dime from New York City in matching money. I wanted to get out of the system because I knew we wouldn't reach the benchmark.
But you couldn't.
I couldn't get out. It's like being in the Mafia. Once you're in, you can't get out of this crazy system.
Some people say the Mafia doesn't exist, but this does exist, right?
This does exist.
New York City Campaign Finance Board. You get a letter. We have a copy here. You've given us a copy. It's a 2-page letter, straight to the point, July 17, 2015. And they're telling you, in essence, that they're fining you $10,675 in penalty because you violated the limits that an individual can. Now, according to the law, you are in violation.
It's a ridiculous rule.
Okay.
Ridiculous rule.
And what you're arguing, and you know that the rule is there, but given the set of circumstances, why should you be excluded? Are you going to go and appeal this?
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely appealing. I should be excluded because, first of all, the fact is that I was put in a position where either I stiff my staff. Nobody was going to contribute to the campaign because we were dead in August. People knew that they're just not going to contribute when you don't have any resources.
And the polls
had us down to 1%. So it was either not meet my obligations to my staff and the vendors, or loan the campaign money. I decided to loan the campaign money, which, by the way, under state Board of Elections rules, All you do is write a letter saying, I forgive the loan, which I did, because you have to file both at the state and city level. The New York City Campaign Finance Board is going to fine me $10,000 for going over the limit, when I didn't receive a dime of taxpayer money. The rule makes no sense whatsoever, and it's just counterproductive. I mean, the Campaign Finance Board also, we had to pay people. There's a whole cottage industry that's now
Right.
grown up as a result of these onerous minutia rules that they put into place, where you have to pay people to comply with these rules and regs, and so it didn't do me any good at all. I wanted out of the system.
According to Hillary Weisman, who's the director of the legal unit of the New York City Campaign Finance Board, Ms. Weisman says that there's no excuse in this. You're going to have to pay it.
I guess the only thing I can do is have a fundraiser to pay myself back.
Would you do that?
Of course not. I'm not.
You're not going to do that.
No,
You're not that type of guy.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have people contribute money so I can pay myself back. It's just wrong. This is wrong.
Well, other people do it.
Well, I'm just not going to do that. It's just not something I want to do, or I think is the right thing to do, because I got into this race, and the bottom line is I did contribute money to my campaign. All I wanted was the benchmarks that they have set now make it very difficult for grassroots candidates to compete. It's 1,000 contributors, which I had, which that should be enough to give you matching resources. Because that means you've got support. What they did was, Gerson, they raised the cap now. Not only do you need 1,000 contributors, you have to raise $250,000 in matching money, which means you need several thousand contributors, and that was done to protect people that are connected, pretty much.
So let's say that Ms. Weisman can't do anything, but there's a board. What needs to be changed with the New York City Campaign Finance Board?
I think that the board really needs. I'm a big believer in campaign finance reform, but this system, this board, has been nothing but a bureaucratic monster now. I mean, we have a cottage industry that is developed.
We have bureaucracies, but is this a political?
Could be. It could be. Don't forget the city council and the mayor appoint the members to the campaign finance board, and there are better systems around the country. I mean, this particular fine shows how ridiculous the board is. I mean, they forget the spirit of the law. It's to help candidates like me. I mean, they allow
allegedly
they allow bundling by lobbyists. They allow bundling by developers. So the core mission of the board, as it was presently constituted, has been eroded. I mean, we saw, for example, just one of De Blasio's top contributors was a guy from the medallion cab industry. Now there's this big battle with Uber and everything else. Guy raised a ton of money for him because he owned a tremendous amount of medallions. So, how do we allow a campaign finance system that's supposed to eliminate the influence of special interests to survive when, in essence, they're engaged in this kind of behavior?
This is a lot of inside baseball. You mentioned New York One, that you were in the debate and only reach a limited audience, but those are the kind of people in New York One that view New York One that actually are insiders, that are into politics. Let me ask you, city and state is also viewed by those kind of people. What are you going to do? Because are you going to represent yourself?
I am. I'm going to go in probably with my treasurer, and we're going to make a compelling case that this rule is unfair, and it makes no sense whatsoever. I received zero. I could see if I had received some matching money. I received nothing from the city. I've just gotten a lot of heartaches, complying with their minutia, their demands, having staff dealing with their bureaucracy.
Have you spoken to any of the other candidates that actually didn't make it in the primary process, that may have a similar problem to your knowledge? Is there anyone else?
I don't know if there's anyone else. I'm
That
not
loan
sure.
money.
I'm not sure. Maybe Jack Hideri, the guy who ran, and I think he may be similarly situated. I'm not sure, but I had 1,000 contributors. I mean, we had real grassroots support, and we didn't even come close to achieving the matching threshold.
The way the law is written right now by the New York City Campaign Finance Board, regardless of what the outcome is of that fine of the $10,670 something dollars, the $675 that you have to pay, that say you must pay. What would you do? Is there anything that I know you, I follow your political career. You can't help. You like fights.
Well, I'm independent. I've always been independent.
So how do you push it? You know how the system works. You're at the New York City Council.
Right.
You're an attorney. What happens with this? Will
Well,
this?
What I'm hoping is that the board realizes that this rule doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They've got to look at individual cases, okay? I mean, the board is there to protect taxpayers, correct, and help grassroots candidates. Now, I received no money from the taxpayers. I just got aggravation from joining this system. And they should look at individual cases like this. I mean, the fact is that I had to pay my staff. I had to support our infrastructure, and that's why I lent the campaign money. And I'm forgiving that loan. I don't want to have a fundraiser to pay myself back. It makes no sense whatsoever.
But the board follows the law, and the board doesn't make up the law. So where does Sal Albanese go then? If you have to pay the loan, you're going to make a point. Obviously, you're going to get attention. But where, and if you really want it, who do you take it back to?
We're exploring legal action as well, because this is
Suing
inequitable.
who then?
Well, maybe the campaign finance board, maybe maybe the city council. We'll see. We're doing some research on that right now to see how we can address this, maybe through a legal avenue. But I'm hoping that through public relations, through discussions with you and others, that the campaign finance board amends this ridiculous law and looks at individual circumstances. I mean, I wanted to get out of the system. I wanted out because we were not even close to reaching the threshold, and lo and behold, you can't get out. It doesn't. Everyone that looks at this objectively says that my predicament does not make sense. The law was not created to do this, where you penalize somebody for lending his campaign money when in effect I was out of the race at that point, pretty much. Not technically out of the race, but I was out of the race, and I had to pay staff, and I had to pay folks that worked on my campaign.
There are some people in this city, a lot of people will look at this and say, well, who the hell told him to run? Why did you use your money? Why did you run like... So how does this... So the average person that really doesn't care, look, he decided to run, he went in, he put up his money, now he's got to pay additional money, you wrote that off. Is it worth it to get the voice of the... Where is it this... In other words, it's out of your pocket, it's out of your family's
Correct.
funds. Why, Sal?
Well, the reason why I ran for mayor is because I believed I was the best candidate to lead the city, and I care about the city. I grew up here, what we should try to do is make democracy work for people, not put them through all of these hurdles and obstacles where you discourage people from running because of ridiculous bureaucratic rules. I mean, there are better campaign finance systems across America. For example, Maine has a much better system where you demonstrate you've got grassroots support by getting people, a couple thousand people to contribute to your campaign. You get a grant, you run your campaign. We've built up a whole bureaucracy here, Gerson.
You served under the New York City Council under different times with different leadership. You know how it works inside. You've worked with mayors, you've negotiated things. This system is built overall that, that's bartering in, whether it's at the federal, state, and it's definitely the city level. Knowing what you know about the current city council and the climate at City Hall, do you have a shot at even these people? He's saying, oh my God, it's one of our ex-colleagues, he served this body, he served the city. Is there any chance that you'll have some soft heart? You're laughing. I'm asking you seriously.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I've got to be honest. I mean, as you know, I'm pretty critical of the political process, and I don't think many of those folks care about what happens to Sal Albanese, quite honestly. So, I'm hoping that through, once again, the press, that people see things like this and say, we need to change the system. The system. This is great because it also points out what I've been saying about the Campaign Finance Board for a while now, that they have basically failed in their core mission, which is to prevent special interest money from controlling the process. And not only that, they're matching special interest money now. So the idea that this was designed to help grassroots candidates. That's been eroded. The only thing you could say about the campaign finance system in New York City is that it's better than nothing. But if they think that by implementing this in Albany that it's going to change the process, it's not. If you look at all of the main candidates in the mayor's race, even the city council, the money that's contributed to their campaigns comes from special interests. They come from bundlers, lobbyists, PR people, all people that have commercial entanglements with the city. So this is great because I can point out how flawed the system is.
And you will.
I will point it out. I will go there. I submitted testimony to them about a year ago, not on this, just in general, what I thought should change.
All this talk about reform and that it's a progressives and progressives are in charge.
It's all nonsense.
They're just regular.
It's about incumbent protection. Most of these people want to stay in office forever, and they're not going to change the system.
Or jump off to another.
Exactly. They're not. The only way that the system changes is by people getting energized and saying this doesn't make any sense, and we've got to change it. We've got to have a true democracy. We don't have a true democracy. We have basically in New York City, if you want to run for mayor, you got to basically cozy up to special interest groups. The grassroots don't really matter, and this system is not helping. This system is just not doing the job. They just burden you with bureaucracy. You forgot statement number 1. Statement number 2. You got to fill out 39 forms. This is what they're doing there. I mean, they've created a whole cottage industry of legal folks that you have to hire to deal with these rules.
And the so-called progressives that we have now in office, who at one point were activists or wanted to change and tear down the state and all this, once they get in now, they're being more protected than the people that actually were there.
Of course. Okay. Don't forget how the Campaign Finance Board came into being, Gerson. You were around, I was around, during the Koch years, when the political scandal hit the ceiling, where people went to jail and everything else, and that's how this came into being. The original theory and concept is a good one. It's been perverted. It's been totally eroded.
I don't mean to criticize, but I do know a lot of people who weren't around, younger reporters who probably have the future of coverage of politics, and they really ate up this thing about reform. Oh, they're doing reforms. I talked to several young reporters, and I said, are you kidding me? Oh, no, these are real reforms. I said, you crazy? But having said that, what do you tell a regular New Yorker so we can exit out? A New Yorker regular New Yorker, not connected, that is in Brooklyn, in your own borough, in Queens, Staten Island, in the Bronx, and they just take a look behind the curtain. What do you tell them about? Is this municipal government, along with the structure that protects it, is it a sham on democracy?
It is. It's unfortunately it's unfortunately a great PR tool, but in terms of promoting democracy, it doesn't really do anything. I mean, we need a total overhaul. We need lobbying reform. I mean, the bottom line is that lobbyists in New York City have more power now than they did during the Koch years, during the Bloomberg years. I mean, these folks, and look, they're in business. I understand it, but we're in business to protect the people that are in office are in business to protect the people. And this Campaign Finance Board doesn't do any of that.
But if that's not their fault, they're protecting their investments and they're going to get more as they can. So it falls back on the person holding the elected office.
Of course. But Gerson, you and I both know that we're basically, we have a body politic that become professional politicians. They don't want to leave office. So they're going to do whatever they can to stay in office. They're going to look the other way. You don't hear any of the progressives talking about reform, political reform.
No.
They'll talk about the minimum wage, which is good. But the real problem we have in this city and in this country is a broken political system. They're not moving to change it. And this is just a small example of how perverse the system is.
When are you due before the
September 10th? I'm going
September 10th,
yeah.
And by then you'll have a fully developed case.
Absolutely. We're going to do some research and we're going to see how we're going to attack this. But at the very least, we're going to expose the fact that this is a sham. I mean, they're looking at, they're violating the spirit of the law here. In essence, here I am, the only grassroots candidate that said, I'm not taking money from developers and lobbyists. I didn't get a dime from them, and now they're fining me $10,000 because I put money up to pay the people that worked for me.
We'll follow up with you, Sal. Good luck in September when you face these folks if they don't switch the date. And for City and State TV, I'm Gerson Borrero with Sal Albanese. probably having to write out a check for $10,675.
hope
You're
not.
laughing, but
I hope not.
Hey, I'm glad you're that.
What am I going to do?
You calling Michael Bloomberg? No. For City and State TV, Gerson Borrero. Good luck, Sal.
Thank you,
Take care.
Gerson.
Good
Thank
seeing
you for hearing me out. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.